Hey guys, Simon here. This is going to be the last video for today, and it's going to be the last video on my guitars because this is the last of my guitars. Um, yeah, it's an acoustic. It's incredibly cheap. I bought it from Temu. Allegedly, it should be about £180. I had a load of discount codes and offers being a first time customer, which took it down to about £30, which suggests to me that it's about a £30 guitar. So basically, this video isn't going to be as long as the other two because I don't have as much to say on this guitar. Um, I I wasn't really bothered about acoustic. Most of the music I listen to, well, I say most, probably about 75% of the music I listen to is electric guitar based. I've always been interested in electric guitars. I've always lusted after electric guitars. I find electric guitars beautiful to look at. But the further I got into my guitar journey, I realised that there's some songs, obviously you can play them on electric, but really, because they were originally played on an acoustic, they need to be played acoustically. They just don't sound right played on an electric guitar. And I figured, really, I needed to get an acoustic guitar. Um, I keep banging on about it. It's that those two words, disposable income. I don't have a lot of money. These videos are to show you how you can build a small collection on a budget. All right, it's not the greatest guitar in the world. My best friend has a lovely acoustic Epiphone. I'm hoping one day I'll have the money to splash on a half decent acoustic, and I'll probably go down the Epiphone route. As mentioned in the dot video, I'm a bit of an Epiphone fanboy. I think they make some lovely instruments. His Epiphone acoustic is a beautiful instrument, but I just needed an acoustic guitar on a budget. So yeah, this came from Temu. It's that well-known brand Saison, who I've never heard of before in my life, but it serves a purpose. I needed an acoustic guitar. I wanted an acoustic guitar to play the songs that should be played on an acoustic. Um, Off the top of my head, something like "What's Up" by Four Non Blondes. Um, it just sounds better played on an acoustic. Uh, "Talk Tonight" by Oasis or "Wonderwall" just sound better on an acoustic. There's certain songs you can play on electric, but they just don't sound quite right. So yeah, I spent a whole 30 quid on a cheap acoustic. But actually, to be fair, the strings it came with were, how can I put it politely? They were rubbish. And I think the top E string was snapped within about 2 weeks of buying it. But actually, that's gave me a good excuse to just go and buy a decent set of strings. When your packet of strings costs a third of what you paid for the whole guitar, you start wondering whether it was worth buying a £30 guitar or whether you should have just saved a little bit more money. But for the time being, this will do just fine. And actually putting a decent set of strings on it transformed the instrument. The action probably a smidgen too high, but it's not too bad. And again, I'm not inclined to pay 30, £35 for a full setup on a guitar that costs £30, when actually, for what I'm using it for at home at the moment, it's perfectly playable. Tuners, the tuners aren't too bad. I've managed to snap the top off one of the bridge pins already. I think I can probably get a fairly cheap set to replace those at some point. As I said, the strings have been changed, so that actually transformed the instrument. The biggest letdown on this guitar is the nut. It's a real cheap plastic nut. It hasn't been cut properly, and I think it's either the G or the B string. You have to be really careful when you're tuning it because it catches. It's quite difficult to get the tuning bang on because you can turn the tuning peg and the string won't move, there's no change in tone, and then suddenly you'll hear a bing where the string has been caught on the nut and it's slipped through, and you've gone way above where you need to be for tuning. So it's just takes a little bit longer and a little bit of finesse to get it tuned up, but you can tune it up. And as I said, for me at the moment, with the volume of songs I play acoustically as opposed to the volume of songs I play electrically, this is absolutely fine. I wouldn't recommend spending £30 on an acoustic guitar. I'd recommend you saved a bit more money. I think probably you can get a half decent acoustic for about the £80 mark. But as I said, I am on a limited budget. I don't play a massive amount of acoustic, but actually since I bought the acoustic, I play more now than I thought I would do. And the other thing that it highlighted to me as a beginner was that they're all called guitar, electric, guitar, acoustic, guitar, but they're actually incredibly different instruments, and the acoustic is a lot more difficult to play, to get the tension on the strings, to get your chords ringing out cleanly. You have to press a lot harder. It's a whole different ball game playing acoustic, but let's just give a doesn't sound too bad. Yeah, that's about all I can say on it really. So that's the introduction to my acoustic guitar. I hope you've enjoyed this little mini series on the introduction to my guitars. I think the next video we'll start to move on to a bit of song practice, because I'm sure you've had enough of me waffling on. As you can tell, I do like to waffle, but I just thought some of you might be interested in my guitars. After all, that's why we're all here. As I said, if I had to pick a favourite, I do love the gold top because it was my first love. But the Epiphone, I was speaking to my brother-in-law the other day. My 9-year-old nephew is learning to play guitar, and he's actually getting on really well. But you pick up the Epiphone, and you, without sounding snobby, you can feel where the extra money goes. Just the Grover tuners, the adjustment is just that bit more. What's the word I'm looking for? I don't know what word I'm looking for, but you've got that bit more control with a set of Grovers. The the control knobs, I've got I don't know whether they've been retrofitted by the previous owner. All the other models I've seen have just the black control knobs, and I've got the vintage coppery brassy control knobs. But just turning the control knobs, you can just feel the difference in quality. Everything's just a step up quality wise. As I say, there's nothing wrong with a £200 guitar. These days you can buy a really nice instrument for £200, especially as a beginner. But if you've got an extra £250 to spend, if you want to learn guitar and you know you're going to stick to it, if you've got a decent budget to spend as much as you can without spending silly money, if that makes sense, because you will feel the difference. Like playing guitar, it's about the sound that you make while you're playing it, but it's also very much about the feel of the guitar. I mentioned in a previous video, you want to hold the instrument and you want it to feel like an extension of you. And I picked that Epiphone up, and you can just feel the difference in quality. Yeah, that's enough. That's enough for me. I've probably waffled on far too long. And hopefully tomorrow we'll have a look at some simple beginner songs to get you started. All right, thanks guys. Take care.